more on this theorem. It's sort of a creation theorem, prayer theorem, maybe God theorem. But I'm going to go through the analogy again and see if I can simplify it a little bit, because it's a little bit hard to understand. I'm trying to find a way to talk about it. Let me see if I'm in the picture. Yes. Okay. So, I wanted to say something first. What was it? So you flip a coin, and you could say, well, what's the odds of getting heads, tails? It's 50% for heads, right? But then, if you think about the previous, if you think about what happened in the history in the previous case, I look back and I say, well, I got a heads first. Before that, now what's the odds of getting a heads? It's 1/4. It's 25%. So the same, going from point A to point B to from here to flipping it and seeing it, I actually have two answers I can go by: 50% and 25%. What would I choose? I choose the 50% way. So I'm going to think about it as though this is starting from afresh. Now, if the one previous was a tails, the odds of getting a heads in this one is actually 75%. So in that case, I would think of it using history. My odds are better if I think of it using history, using the past, to help the odds. In this case, they would flip it. And so sometimes you want to use the starting afresh method, and sometimes you want to use the history method. And the object is to use the one that gives you the better odds to get through life better. So that's the theorem, that it's actually the same. It's actually, how can the answer to a problem be two answers at the same time, 25% and 50%? And it's via prayer. You actually just think of it a certain way. And by thinking of a certain problem, you get a problem. If you think of it a certain way, you can actually increase the probability of doing better in your life. So you can control some of the guidance in your life. I'm not sure what percent of your life you can control, but it's a percent. In this case, in the flipping the coin case, it's 25% difference. So I think I've described it in a little better manner here. Well, I think I must have done really good. I stumped you what to talk about. You can use this. So the idea is that it proves, one thing that it helps to prove is that we're not in full control of our life. I think it shows that maybe we're not in full control of our lives, that it's being guided by a plan, God's plan. And that we have some control over this God's plan. I'm not sure what percent. Psychically, I came up with 20%, but I'm not sure if it's around that number. But it might help in the laws of physics and stuff that they're having trouble with the universal equation, and maybe this will help solve it. It's kind of interesting how simple this is. It's always been there, but the way the teachers, the way they do this is, if you question it, when I remember as I was in class, I'm questioning, but isn't it the same thing as flipping it? When I mention this kind of thing to them, they say, oh, no, you can't think of it that way. You have to consider the history only for this problem. Or just starting afresh for this problem. And I was confused, but isn't it the same, isn't it? I was always confused. I never quite knew how to ask the question. Something was confusing me, so I bought a book I've been studying it for 10 years, and last year it occurred to me, and I just, last year I figured it out, but I finally have something to tell now through this channel about this. Okay, what else? I'm going to pause it here for now.